Strap into your seats and get ready. It's time for the Mortarpod.
Hey, it's Alex. Joined with Jake. Welcome to this week's episode of the Mortarpod.
Welcome.
And what did we talk about in this episode, Jake? Do you remember what we went over? We went over Grand Prix Vegas. And let me correct myself what I previously said, because I think I previously said that it was the biggest card tournament of all time, but it was the biggest trading card gathering of all time. And actually, I looked into it, and the World Series of Poker, I think the biggest turnout for that was 6,200 people.
Oh, okay.
So
that makes sense.
So the World Series of Poker does gather more people. And keep in mind, too, the people for the World Series of Poker are paying $10,000 entry fees to get into those tournaments. This tournament was a $60 entry fee. So it's vastly different.
Yeah.
Like, World Series of Poker does gather more of an audience than Magic. But still, very impressive for Magic. Actually, the previous record was held by a Yu-Gi-Oh! Tournament, and it had about 4,300 people. So this tournament didn't even blow that one away.
Wow, it just barely captured.
Yeah, it was really amazing. It was really amazing. So Yu-Gi-Oh is very, very popular. It's like popularity of trading card games still definitely exists. But we talk about some standard constructed lists. We look at Grand Prix trial lists that won, and it looks like standard has all the decks have pretty much all the archetypes have pretty much been established at this point. You don't see anything too new and crazy these days.
But
it's diverse in
trials that we saw, because they were only the first place listings. We didn't see anything new.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that something new didn't show up in a top 8. It just means the first place was pretty cut and dry for as far as what we've seen before.
We briefly talk about the set we're working on, and then we go to Arabian Nights and talk about some of the weird cards that were printed in that set, because there's definitely some strange ones, and creature types being changed, and names and not
there's some
legend
really
cards that should have been legends and weren't printed
so
as
much
legends.
of that should have been legends.
But I want to remind you to go to VarenCamp.com, because Scott Varenkamp designed Seemsgoodmagic.com. I think he did a great job, so check out his website at VEHRENKAMP.com. You can email me with criticism, comments, mortarpod@seemsgoodmagic.com, and follow us on Twitter @seemsgoodmagic. And Tuesdays, Thursdays, live streaming. We've been doing Commander every once in a while, and still doing the drafts. And we end with a draft on this podcast. So I think without further ado, enjoy. So these are Grand Prix Trial Miami deck lists. I guess this event is going on today in Miami. So let's look at what's going on in Standard Constructed right now.
Right now.
Yeah. Same day. I mean, what's weird is this tournament must have been super early.
Yeah, because it's noon there.
Yeah.
And these were already up when we started looking at it.
That's kind of crazy, actually. I wonder...
Oh, wait. Everybody's first place right now. This could just be top 8.
But there's even 2...
Oh.
I wonder if... Oh, Grand Prix Trials. So if they're Grand Prix Trials, then they're probably at all the different event stores. So it's the deck
okay.
It's going to be the decks that won at all the different event stores, probably.
Yeah.
So that would make more sense. They might just...
They're only listing first place. No, but it says location Miami.
Maybe there's multiple little trials going on within one store then. Maybe...
That could be, actually.
One event
that makes more sense.
One event doesn't have to have...
That... They could just be doing 8-man or 30-man pods or something like that.
Yeah, not like one huge tournament, but split it all up.
Yep.
First list is 4-color Reanimator. Looks like Angel Serenity still. Blood Baron, I think, is the weird aspect in this deck at the moment. And actually, Tristan was kind of talking about this card in his deck tech for his last video that he posted for us. And if you haven't checked him out already, I'd recommend it because it's really good. He's doing a really good job on it. Doing good commentary for it, and he has a lot of experience with the deck, so I would take his word at it. But Blood Baron, we've talked about how this is a good card, but I mean, have you given this card a chance yet?
I would love to, but no, I haven't.
He's probably. I wonder how
I'm not
expensive
even
he is
sure I
now.
own one yet.
Oh, you don't even own one.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, they're a little bit, but they're not like too pricey. I mean, they're not bananas.
They're probably cheaper online too. But
Oh,
For-
Bristle Brand even.
I mean, Reanimator is a good deck, no
Mhm.
doubt. Let's look at some of the other lists in this top 8. We were looking at the Jund aggro list. This deck looks pretty sick. So it's like Omega aggro, first turn Stromkirk Noble or Rakdos Cackler. Turn 2, he's got Spike Jester, Lightning Mauler, Flinthoof Boar, Firefish Striker, and Burning Tree Emissary. So turn 2 is definitely an important turn in this deck. And then turn 3, just more 2-drops, I think. Maybe 2-drop plus a 1-drop. Or the Gore-Clan Rampager in the deck is total just like combat trick.
Yeah, I would think so.
It goes over top of
I'm
Boros
sure it's
Reckoner.
a good board wipe, like post board wipe card too. But it definitely is like just trample on through. On Aristocrat, it's pretty much a guaranteed 4 damage, and then some generally.
Yeah, definitely the trample aspect of it makes the card.
Yeah, I think, and it definitely does say something that this is the only Blood Rush card that's done anything in Standard because it has trample, because it grants trample. Is there another one that does trample?
I don't think so.
There's Death Touch and First Strike for sure.
Scar Goliath, the rare.
Yeah,
but that's it.
Too much mana. Too much
And
mana
it's
for that.
8 to do the Blood
And
Rush.
yeah, and that's while you're attacking with it, so you can't even use it defensively. And they decided that was how much that card should cost.
8 mana for +9
Yeah.
+9 trample.
And it's like you can get Might of the Oaks for 4 mana. So how is double that worth?
Was Might of
+9
Oaks
+9?
trample though?
No, but how is double it +9 +9? You're getting +2 and an ability to Might of Oaks. Like 6 would have been just fine and really still expensive.
Yeah, I don't know. They must be. I don't know why they would be anti it. I don't think it's overpowered. I think it's really good.
Yeah, I do too.
But I don't think it's overpowered.
Yeah, that card.
Aristocrat's also in the main deck list. We didn't mention that. So I mean, this deck looks really good. This looks like something I would probably play. It's pretty quick. Searing Spears, Pillar of Flames. Sideboard, I like the Deathrite Shaman because he's got black in the deck, so that's pretty awesome against the Reanimator list. Maybe he's got some way. He's got the green too, so.
Oh, he's got them all.
So he can,
He's
deal damage
mostly
with the
red.
black, and he can exile the creatures like the Angel Serenity. So that's a good sideboard. Volcanic Strength, definitely good. Any match where someone's,
Right.
got some mountains out. And this is a good time for mountain or land walk abilities because we've got all the shock lands that are dual land types. Skull Crack out of the side, I'm guessing for like Thragtusky, Huntmaster decks. Dreadbore, Pillar Flame, Trader's Blood. Trader's Blood is the one that he opted for. I guess he definitely values trample pretty highly.
That does work well against
Reanimator?
Right. Yeah, Reanimator, sorry.
I agree. Snag their Blood Baron of his Copa.
Yeah, they think that they got themselves out of the shit or whatever, and you just steal their guy that's keeping your board down and attack in.
Even the Thragtusk Steel can be devastating. So that's a pretty cool list. If you can make 3-color and aggro work like that, and that way with the haste creatures and stuff, that's pretty cool. Blair Grouchy. That's an interesting name.
I'm grouchy.
Also a Reanimator list. Looks pretty similar. Looks like a lot of Reanimator.
That one actually looked different. It had 2 Garricks in it.
This one's got Garrick Relentless, main deck. It's got some Fiend Hunters, main deck.
No Reckoners here.
No Boros Reckoners, no Blood Barons. Couple of Abrupt Decays.
Opting more for 3-color, it looks like.
Fiend Hunter is an interesting one for Reanimator. Let's look at Jund. Is Jund pretty much the same? What are they doing now? Garrick Primal Hunter, Liliana the Veil.
Zerta Druid is cool.
Bonfires, Zerta Druid, Huntmaster, Thragtusk, Olivia. Yeah, Zerta just to have a couple more ways to increase their clock.
And mana. It like acts like Farseek 5 and 6.
Putrefy, Tragic Slip, Bonfire, Mortars, Pillar. People still playing it. Well, any other unique lists in here? Human Reanimator. Check that out. So the Angel of Glory's Rise deck, which is pretty cool. So the ways to get them in there, you've got the Cartel Aristocrat and the Undercity Informer. So I think the goal is you self-mill yourself until you have enough to get your Angel of Glory's Rise out and return all of your...
Yeah, and the
humans to
Undercity
play.
Informer, it definitely helps with that. You play one less land than normal too, so that you're hitting land less often off your Undercity Informer. It's a cool deck. Very combo-y. Dies to rest in peace, I'd say.
That's funny if you can make that work, though.
Yeah.
In Burial Rites. It's pretty cool.
It also doesn't work well against Ground Seal. So.
Oh, and that's actually really cool, I guess, with the Burning Tree emissaries. Because when they come in, you get all that mana, and you'll have your Undercity Informer, so then you can mill them out. You'll have all that extra mana. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and then potentially on Burial Rites again that same turn to do it again.
They don't have any way to put decks back or cards back in their library. I see. So they can't completely self-mill themselves out when they're trying to fill up for the Angel. Junk Sealed. What does that mean? This is just sealed deck he had?
Oh, there was a sealed deck PTQ.
I see. That was his whole pool.
Sideboard was...
Looks like he was playing some good spells in there. I like it.
2 common bonds. Pretty sweet.
Cluestone. He was playing down.
Down and dirty, huh? Well, he had some decent removal, too. He had Grizzly Spectacle, Charm, Executioner's Swing, Devour Flesh, and 1,000 Lashes.
And a couple common bonds, too. That's pretty cool. It's a good-looking list.
He wrote down, but dirty is the one that gets you a card back, huh?
Yeah, maybe they just... I don't know why they only said the one...
side of it.
Yeah. Should have just said both.
That's the problem with split cards like that. They never... It's never intuitive how they're going to be listed or whatever anywhere.
No, that's true. And there's still some questions with it. Like this one came up on one of my videos. If I discard a fuse card to like Blast of Genius, how much converted mana cost? Do I choose a side or is it the combined? Okay. Combined. But the old split cards, you do choose a side. Because of Clash. Well, then with Clash.
Yeah, with Clash it is.
Okay, with Clash you choose a side, and then that side is the mana cost that you use.
But like, if you were to reveal one off of Dark Confidant, you would lose life equal to one side, then the other side. So I would assume that Blast of Genius is the same way.
Okay, that's really strange though. Why is it with Clash you choose a side instead of the combined?
I don't know.
Does that make any sense?
Is that definitely how it is on Magic Online?
Yeah, because I was in that Commander game.
Jeez.
And he clashed with me, and it was for Titan's Revenge too.
Yeah.
So he burned me for like 19, and then we revealed it, and he revealed like a 3-mana spell or something, and I revealed the
Wear and Tear.
The red and white card where the white side is like
Order
exiled.
Chaos.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's a 3 and a 4, I think, too, right? And I chose the 3, and somehow he got it back, or maybe he had a 4-mana spell. So
he must have had a 4.
Yeah. So that if I'd chosen the 4-mana spell, we would have tied, and he wouldn't have gotten it back. But like, I didn't even know what it was prompting me to do. It wasn't like intuitive what it wanted me to do. So I like just picked a side because it had like a really long list of stuff to do, and I didn't know what.
I'm really like wondering why that would be, but the only thing I can think is that
we should just look it up.
When you're forced,
let's make sure we get this right.
Split cards.
I mean, I know you're right about the Blast of Genius, but maybe I'm wrong about the
Well, I might be wrong
now.
about Blast of Genius now because I know I'm right about Dark Confidant because I know I've read that. that if you reveal a split card, you take damage equal to one half, and then you take damage equal to the other, or lose life equal to both halves. So that's why I would think Blast of Genius would work the same way, you know.
Mm-hmm. Let's look up Clash. To Clash, a player reveals the top card of his or her library. That player may put that card on the bottom of his or her library. Clash with an opponent means choose an opponent. You and that opponent each clash. A player wins a clash if that player revealed a card with a higher converted mana cost than all other cards revealed in that clash.
So
So
go to
that's
split.
maybe
Go
that
to split cards.
fuse or fuse cards.
Just split.
Whoa.
Wow. There we go.
I said split cards that much. Split cards have two cards faces on a single card. The back of a split card is the normal Magic card back. In every zone except the stack, split cards have two sets of characteristics and two converted mana costs. As long as the split card is a spell on the stack, only the characteristics of the half being cast exist. The other half's characteristics treated as though they didn't exist. If a player casts a split card, that player chooses which half of that split card he or she is casting before putting it onto the stack. Only the half that is being cast is considered to be put onto the stack. Only that half is evaluated to see if it can be cast. Each split card that consists of two halves with different colored mana symbols and their mana costs is a multicolored card, while it's not a spell on the stack. While it's a spell on the stack, it's only the color or colors of the half being cast. I see. That's interesting. Although split cards have two castable halves, each split card is only one card. For example, a player has drawn or discarded a split card has drawn or discarded one card, not two.
Right.
So is that the explanation for it?
No, I don't think so. But like this one looks like it. 708.5.
Okay, an effect that asks for a particular characteristic of a split card while it's in a zone other than the stack gets two answers. One for, but this is while it's not on the stack.
Right.
Oh, I
which
see.
is-
So what Blast of Genius would be?
Right.
One for each of the split cards' two halves. Example, Infernal Genesis has an ability that reads, at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player puts the top card from his or her library into his or her graveyard. He or she then puts X 1/1 black minion creature tokens onto the battlefield, where X is that card's converted mana cost. If the top card of your library is Assault and Battery when this ability resolves, the game sees its converted mana cost as 1 and 4. You get 5 creature tokens. Okay, so it is combining them. But what about for Clash?
Wait, here it is. Some effects perform comparisons involving characteristics of one or more split cards in a zone other than the set.
Some effects perform comparisons involving characteristics of one or more split cards in
There,
a zone
it's
other
this
than the
one,
stack.
608.6a. Or 708.6a.
An effect that performs a positive comparison, such as asking if a card is red, or a relative comparison, such as asking if a card's converted mana cost is less than 2, involving characteristics of one or more split cards in any zone other than the stack, gets only one answer. The answer is yes, if either side of each split card in the comparison would return a yes answer if compared individually.
Okay, so Void reads, choose a number, destroy all artifacts and creatures with that. If a player casts Void and chooses one, his opponent would discard an Assault and Battery. Okay.
I'm not sure.
It's one of these comparison effects, isn't it?
It's got to be each. If an effect performs a comparison involving multiple characteristics of one or more split cards in any zone other than the stack, each characteristic is compared separately. If each of the individual comparisons would return a yes answer, the whole comparison returns a yes answer. Maybe that's it. So because one half of the card was less than his clash, then he won the clash.
Right. I think that probably is
So
it.
both halves have to either be
greater.
equal or greater.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. That's kind of crazy.
That's a weirdo ability, but I see why. So, like, all the time, it's always checking both. And it has to always meet the requirements or whatever at that time.
Both cards too.
Yeah.
Both cards are evaluated by that. Okay, well, that's good to know.
Learn something new each day.
Yeah, you do. You sure do. Well, I kind of want to look at, we can look at a few more spoilers, because there's some new wording, I guess,
Yeah,
that we
I
need
saw
to,
that.
that we need to talk about.
The Oblivion Ring style effect.
But let's talk about some of the cards that
Dark
are
Prophecy.
some of the cards that are returning. Duress is going to be in
Troll
14. Millstone is coming back. I'm kind of surprised they brought that one back, only because I felt like I forget what the thing was, but I kind of felt like Millstone was going to be too underpowered these days.
It might be uncommon. They could bring it back at uncommon.
Yeah, it's true. Like they did JM Day Tome.
Because you're right. It doesn't feel like a rare anymore, especially with Sands of Delirium out.
I think that's what it was. Now you got like Sands of Delirium was dirty and limited. At a certain point, it's just
straight up
drained.
Straight up a rare, in my opinion. But Millstone is just like it's kind of humdrum. You need a few of them to get it going really well.
The spoilers have still been really slow going these last few for some reason.
We're gonna start getting real ones this Monday.
Oh, you're already getting the core set, so it's on its way out already.
It'll be the middle of this month, the 14th or something like that, the 19th.
Okay. Fiendslayer Paladin. He's 3 mana, rare, human knight. He's a 2/2 first strike lifelink, and he can't be the target of black or red spells your opponents control. It's a pretty cool core set rare. First strike lifelink is good.
It's cool. It's better than well, maybe not necessarily better than, but it's a really good card.
It's not
to
quite
replace Paladin and Vec or whatever.
They just didn't want the double protections, I guess.
Double protection is very good.
It really is. What else we got? Banisher Priest. This is the one that's got the new wording we need to talk about. So, historically, first I'll read what it says. Banisher Priest is a 3 mana 2/2 human cleric, and when it enters the battlefield, you exile target creature and opponent controls, and then the wording is, exile target creature and opponent controls until Banisher Priest leaves the battlefield, and then the subtext is, that creature returns under its owner's control. So, historically, the cards from old, like Fiend Hunter, that have this kind of ability, or even like Journey to Nowhere, stuff like that, Oblivion Ring.
Yeah.
They enter the battlefield, and then you choose the target, and then you exile it, and then when that enchantment leaves, it just says, it had that text where it was, when Oblivion Ring leaves the battlefield, return that exiled card. This is skipping that text, and I think the reason is because there are ways to manipulate that while that's on the stack.
Yeah, right.
And this you can't do that with, right? So there's no manipulation of this with the stack, which I think is ultimately why I like this. Why I think this is a good move for them.
Well, enters the battlefield, exile target creature and opponent controls until Banisher Priest leaves the battlefield.
I wonder if you still manipulate it on the stack?
I guess we'll have to wait and see.
I think that's what they're trying to eliminate.
I feel like it would have to say, when Banisher Priest enters the battlefield, if it's still on the battlefield, exile target creature and opponent controls until Banisher Priest leaves the battlefield. But maybe not, and we'll get the update for the M14 rules.
I guess
soon.
we just don't know, but this is definitely unique wording on a card, wouldn't you say?
It really helps them to shorten this whole thing up so that they can put this effect on a lot more, because it used to be that was like the only thing you could put on those cards, was that it was going to enter the battlefield and exile something, and then when it leaves the battlefield, it also brings it back, and this one just shortens that up into one ability that you can just throw onto a card, so you can have a lot more text for other abilities. I like it. I'm glad that they did that.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if they made it so you can't manipulate it.
Yeah, I am interested to see that too. I would totally understand if they did that.
And I wouldn't be anti that at all. No. It's okay.
But it was a really small loophole to exploit.
No, it wasn't a big deal. It's just if they want to, try and fix little... It's not like it's broken either. It's just, I don't really like it flavorfully that much. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just sort of like using the rules.
Yeah, it kind of doesn't make that much sense.
No, it really doesn't.
But, I mean, now's not really the time to talk about flavor when they're allowing multiple people to have the same planeswalker on the battlefield.
No, that's true. It's a good point. Zathrid Necromancer.
This card's cool.
I like this card too. So it's a 3-mana human wizard, 2/2, and when it or another human creature you control dies, you put a 2/2 black zombie creature token onto the battlefield tapped. Do you see anything like being able to be used well with this? Actually, you know something I kind of think would work well with this? Undercity Informer.
Mm-hmm.
If you had
That deck
some
actually,
other humans, and then it's like sack my human.
well,
And actually, what's
Angels,
and notice this too. It says human creature.
another human creature.
Yeah, it's not non-token.
Yeah.
So you could have Gather the Townsfolk humans.
Yeah, but you could just do
I mean,
it
they're
in
going out of
Angel
step.
of Glory's Rise, though.
They won't be out of standard till October, so we will be able to. There will be some overlap with it. So you could make that'd be kind of a cool little deck.
I think the Angel
Sack
of,
your under. It's like
Angel of Glory's Rise is probably still the best one to do with it, though.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you can just sack them, get tokens, sack the tokens.
That's cool. What else is new? Got some more. Gale Rider Sliver. So this is a 1-mana 1/1 Sliver creature you control have flying. So it's a 1-mana 1/1 flyer on its own.
And it's rare.
And it's rare. Now that's interesting. I think that's a little unnecessary. Or is it?
I think it's just because it allows all
evasion.
your slivers to fly, yeah.
It's
And
almost
it is
like
a 1-drop. So, like, I doubt that it's going to be an expensive rare to get a hold of, but it might be just because it is a sliver, actually. Maybe these new slivers make legacy slivers a little more viable.
legacy slivers. I'd love for there to be a legacy sliver.
Well, now they're adding one more pump sliver
Mm-hmm.
that's 2-drop, so
It's probably enough at this point.
yeah, that's 3 different ones, right?
Now Siphon Sliver too. So
Yeah.
Siphon Sliver is kind of the fix to the Essence
As a
Sliver,
yeah.
because that one wasn't lifelink, right? That was whenever it deals that much damage.
That was lifelink, yeah.
So that was when they still had lifelink, pre-lifelink, when they still had it kind of screwed up. Siphon Sliver is a 3-mana 2/2. Almost looks like a zombie.
Yeah, I know.
Sliver creatures you control have lifelink. When the hive must feed, every appendage becomes an additional mouth.
Meh. I don't really like that art.
You don't like the new slivers in general, though, right?
Not really. I'm getting used to them, but they look stupid.
Shiv's Embrace is reprint, Naturalize, and Trollhide, and then Dark Prophecy is kind of the new card that I think is cool. So Dark Prophecy is 3 black mana, enchantment, rare. Whenever a creature you control dies, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. This would be kind of cool. I thought this would be cool with like a Viscera Seer.
Yeah.
You know Viscera Seer? The
Yeah.
1-mana one that lets you
Sorry,
scry
I
one.
was just trying to figure out what was happening in the art, and I think he sacrificed a goat.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, and he's holding something in his hand.
Probably an organ or something. The value that he got from slaughtering that animal.
Yeah.
But anyway, with Viscera Seer, it's 1 mana, 1 black mana, 1/1 vampire that lets you sack and scry 1. So alongside this, it'd be really cool because it's like scry. If you don't want it, put it on the bottom. Otherwise, you get it in your hand.
Well, you would draw first and then scry.
Oh, I see. You don't. They don't.
You sacrifice as the effect, and then the other thing triggers. You
Oh, okay.
sacrifice to generate that effect, then this would trigger on top of it.
I see. Okay. But that would still be kind of cool. Do you think this one looks like it's a little more difficult? You really have to sort of design your
You gotta be
deck around
mono
it.
black or something close to it.
I mean, you don't have to design your deck around it, but I'd say you'd probably want to. I mean, it's actually good with Undercity Informer too,
It's a really cool EDH card.
to build a deck around that.
It is good with Undercity Informer. But triple black, a little tricky.
We can take a look at our EDH decks because we've been playing that on. We should take a look at our EDH decks. I'll show the one that I've been playing. So we've been live streaming Tuesdays and Thursdays as per usual, but occasionally, a couple times now, we've done EDH instead of drafts. So some people might be into that. If you are, you should just come check out the stream, because occasionally we'll be doing Commander, which I know some people like. But this, I'm running. Originally it was Gisela, but she's just such an obnoxious commander that I decided to just swap her out for Brian Stoutharm, who is also in the deck. And Gisela is still in the deck. She's just not the. So I don't mind if she's in the deck because she's just a creature that there's plenty of answers for. But as the commander, it can be a little too not good, just really annoying, and like just makes you a target.
Mhm.
So a lot of ramp, but notable cards, especially notable newer cards. This has Vandal Blast in it. So this is, remember, from Return to Ravnica, it's 1 mana, destroy target artifact you don't control, and then overload for 5. Obviously valuable in Commander. It's kind of cool to have. What do you think about overload in general?
I like it.
Has it worked pretty well for Commander?
I think that Vandal Blast, Mizium Mortars,
Rift, Cyclone.
Rift, and Teleportal, maybe even Chemisters, thing, probably the best ones. What is Chemisters Trick? Chemisters Trick.
Chemist's Trick, you've done that one too?
No, but I'm just saying those are probably the ones that are best. I mean, not even Bluster Squall is that impressive in EDH.
Yeah, but Vandal Blast is kind of a cool one because it's never really useful in limited, in this limited environment at least.
Yeah.
But in Commander, it's very useful because
it's like super valuable.
Yeah, because everyone's playing like Soul Rings and Signets and you know, Lightning Greaves. I'm running Swiftfoot Boots, and so I've got Luminarch Ascension's another really obnoxious card in Commander. So Luminarch Ascension is a 2-mana enchantment, and at the beginning of each opponent's end step, if you didn't lose life this turn, you may put a quest counter on Luminarch Ascension, and then it gets an activated ability if you have 4 or more quest counters on it, and the activated ability is 1 and a white, and you get a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying. So you get flying angels if each time your opponents go a whole turn without making you lose life. 4 turns of that, and you get.
And it actually happens very quickly.
An infinite angel generator. But the reason that is so good in Commander is, you know, you have multiple players, and you can land it on turn 2. So, like, if there's 4 people, it's like, if you play it on turn 2 and there's 4 people, in Commander, it's very rare that on turn 3 they're going to be able to make you lose life. So you're already guaranteed to get, like, 3 counters on it. And then they have to deal damage to you on their 3rd turn, the first player.
Each one of them.
Otherwise, you're just going to start generating 4/4. So Luminarch's really good, but I mean, it is an enchantment, and there's plenty of enchantment hate in Commander too. I've been playing Boros Charm, and I've been really happy with this in Commander. Surprisingly, it's like always the permanency controller.
Yeah.
It's all I ever do.
I mean, I could see double strike on a creature once in a while, but definitely
on a Gisela, deal 20.
Probably, probably not ever going to be 4 damage to a player unless it's for lethal, or to kill a planeswalker, or to keep a planeswalker off an ultimate.
I actually liked I lost the last Commander game, and I had Boros Charm in my hand, so I just dealt 4 damage to the person that killed me. You get to punish them at the end with Boros Charm. So more cards that a lot of people play. Loxodon Warhammer, such a good card. If you remember how good Butcher's Cleaver was in Innistrad Block Limited, and think how much more narrow that one was.
Yeah.
Didn't have trample, only gave you lifelink if
it was human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Loxodon Warhammer was a crazy equipment. Once again, from Mirrodin, where they really screwed up bad.
They did. They didn't make it a rare, which it totally should have been.
And then just equipment in general at that time, like Bone Splitter, is a 1 mana
common +2/+0 for 1 equip.
So,
or +1/+1 for 1 and 1 equip.
They really made it.
They were just like, let's just, what would we cost an enchantment
they dropped the ball
that
on
did this?
that one.
That was kind of what they thought.
Here's the Order Chaos we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. That really sucks that you lost that clash. But
That's
now
interesting.
we know why.
I see. That is crazy. A lot of board sweepers. Board sweepers are very good in Commander. And I guess I'm not running any like total. Have you played sort of the like Warp World decks before or anything?
I've played Warp World in Commander before, and it's fun. you know,
Does it take a long time to
it
do
takes
the
a little
reset?
bit of time to process.
It would be
but
a lot cooler online. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Because at least it like just
It's very quick.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's true. I wonder if I even have a Warped World online.
I'm sure they're not worth
Yeah,
anything.
I'm
They're
sure
probably
they
less than a penny to buy. I'm
Yeah.
sure. Just some credit. Into the Maw of Hell. I've been really happy with this in Commander. This is played really well because it pretty much kills everything, and then destroying land is actually really relevant in Commander as well. And then removal like Terminus and Banishing Stroke is very powerful because it actually puts it on the bottom, which is just straight up get rid of your
you got
commander.
rid of my Teneb with a Banishing Stroke. That was pretty obnoxious.
And then Terminus away, I think Bucks
Eva?
Yeva.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't have a Hallowed Burial in here. I should look into how much that costs.
I bet that one, well, maybe not online, actually. It might not be that expensive online. That's a
could check
good
it
Wrath
out.
effect.
Just take a guess how much. What do you think?
Two
tickets?
tickets, I would think, would be fair.
It's from Eventide. Might not even have it. This guy doesn't have it. I think this guy has a lot of cards. Check it out. Where's it at?
Show me the Hallowed Burial.
There it is. So Hallowed Burial is worth... Oh, it's only worth one. That's not too bad. So it's fairly cheap. But so I might look into getting that because that also takes care of commanders.
Yeah, that one's a really good one.
Sunhome Guildmage looks kind of underwhelming, but he creates an army pretty fast. Actually, he's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and actually nobody really wants to deal with the 2/2 on turn 2 or 3 or early on. So
and then you don't have to commit more cards for a while either. It's a good infinite mana sink.
Well, and in white-red in particular, that doesn't get a lot of draw effects.
It's nice to not have to overplay your hand.
Right, where you can just kind of sit on it for a little bit.
Marshal's Anthem is kind of it's a really cool enchantment. Really unique. It's a 4-mana enchantment with multi-kicker, 1 and a white, and it has creatures you control get +1/+1. But when it enters the battlefield, return up to X target creature cards from your graveyard to the battlefield, where X is the number of times Marshal's Anthem was kicked. So it's like a res spell with a pump spell. So at 6 mana you get a creature back, and creatures you control get +1/+1. Or at 8 mana you get 2 creatures back. So in Commander you're gonna get to 8 mana.
Yeah. Even 10 is not out of line.
Yeah, and 12.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're ramping too, you can get there easily. So you can res a ton of. It's a very good mid to late game
It is
Commander
an awesome
spell.
card for Commander.
Assembled Legion, good enough for Commander, definitely. I mean, it just gets exponential. So who else is good in here? Trying out Pathrays or Ulamog. I might as well just put the other ones in too. Crusher.
I mean, Crusher's good.
Yeah, why not? In Commander, I'm sure he's fine, right? Still got to deal with an 8/8, and they still got to annihilate.
Yeah, 2 cards every turn, gone. That card's
He
good.
has to attack each turn, right? Isn't that what his disability was? Did you have fun with Rise of the Eldrazi Limited?
Yeah.
Or
Rise of the Eldrazi was fun. I'm glad that they did it as the end set, and you know, we weren't drafting it forever either. But it was fun. I think that's the new Chandra.
should log into yours real quick. Check out your Commander deck.
I got a few. Oops.
So which one is it? Or which one do you want? You have plenty. You should
Yeah.
talk through what you're planning. How many of them are actually complete? Just a
They're
few.
all complete.
Oh,
but
nice.
I bought like a whole bunch of Commander cards the other day just to make some Commander decks.
Okay.
I'm trying to stop playing blue in EDH online because it takes too long. Let's see. can look at Teneb, I guess. This one's, a lot of people do Teneb.
So explain what Teneb is.
It's a res deck, pretty much. Generally, that's how you play it because he has res on him. His ability is he's a 6 mana, 3 colorless, 1 black, 1.
Just bring up the little cards thing,
Oh,
actually.
okay. Anyway, he's 6 mana, 3 colorless, 1 black, 1 green, 1 white, and he's a flying 6/6 dragon. Whenever he hits a player, you get to pay 2 colorless and a black mana, and if you do, you return target creature card from a graveyard to the battlefield under your control. So he can res out of anybody's graveyard. But I play it, with plenty of reanimate effects and stuff like that. Ways to discard. I have Green Seeker, which is a good way to fix yourself and discard some cards. Crime and Punishment. The crime half does the Teneb ability, plus it also gets you an enchantment if you wanted that instead. Punishment is like the poor man's Pernicious Deed. You get to pay a black and a green and X and destroy each artifact, creature, and enchantment with converted mana cost exactly X. So it doesn't hit X and below like Pernicious Deed, but it still works. I would like to get a Gaze of Granite or whatever, but
They're probably
they're probably not expensive at all. But anyway, I play a lot of removal, just like
Spot removal.
Yeah, I think that Renflesh, Eyeblight's Ending, and I usually play Chill to the Bone, but I also have access to Putrefy and Mortify, so I didn't. But Renflesh and Eyeblight's Ending, if you are interested in getting into EDH, those are probably two of the best spot removal for black. Also Victim of Night, which I didn't have in here, but it's also a very good card for EDH, because these that call out a specific creature type, they may have been not the greatest, even though they were really good in their block, but they weren't necessarily like the greatest removal in their block. In EDH, they're just phenomenal, especially Renflesh, which, spirit creature type does not come up that often on really great cards. So the ones you want to hit are usually not. Playing Buried Alive just to fill my graveyard. I got a couple Planeswalkers, Garruk and Gideon. The new Gideon, not the old Gideon, and Garruk Wildspeaker. Gerard's Orders. What else? I was playing Rot Skeleton.
Yeah,
but worked really well.
Oh, you still like it for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because you are technically. Well, name all the bomb creatures you got in here, since you are kind of just like a res deck.
Yeah. I'm trying to think.
So
I guess Deathless Angel is really bomb. Elder Scale Worm, Engulfing Slagworm, Luminate Primordial, Runescarred Demon, Sepulchral Primordial, Sheoldred, Teyza.
Sheoldred is actually a really good commander card too, and Sheoldred is 7 mana, 6/6 Swamp Walk. There's a cycle of Praetors alongside like Elishnorn and
Urabrask, Jin-Gitaxias, and Vorinclex.
It was a cool cycle, but she's 7 mana, 6/6 Swamp Walk. At the beginning of your upkeep, you get to return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, and at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, they have to sack a creature. It totally takes games over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in EDH, it's like the fact that it triggers during their upkeep is crazy.
And Grave Betrayal, I see you're rocking that too. It's so good in limited.
And
or in Commander, not limited.
Well, it's okay in limited, I'm sure, but it's really good.
Too expensive.
It's really good in Commander. Myalgian of Cleansing Fire doesn't work with Teneb, but if you can cast it,
what does it do? It's an 8 mana 4/6 spirit.
Day of Judgment.
I see.
So you have to cast it from your hand. It's not a good res target, but it is like a Supreme Verdict Day of Judgment effect.
Okay.
And he's indestructible until you want to use it.
That's cool.
Avatar of Woe is really good. Pestilence Demon, Blazing Archon, which is a sick card.
Creatures can't attack you for 9 mana. That is sweet. Foil one too.
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, it's from the Graveborn deck.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And I had Diabolic Revelation in here. But
that card's so good.
Yeah, some of the other cards that are good to come back over and over. Deadwood Treefolk.
Yeah, he's pretty common in Commander as well, right?
Indrik Stomphowler.
What's Gleam
also.
Crawler do? Can you show me that?
Yeah. Whenever. Okay, it's trample 6/6, 3 black-green hybrid, 3 colorless. And at the beginning of your end step, return to your hand all creature cards in your graveyard that were put there from the battlefield this turn.
Nice.
So it basically lets you raise dead at the end of every turn on everything that died that turn, as long as this ability triggers. So you can even trigger the ability, then sacrifice your Gleam Crawler and get your Gleam Crawler back as well as whatever else died, you know. But as long as this ability is on the stack, you can then sacrifice everything you want and
get it back.
res them all.
It's kind of cool.
Yeah. It's a cool card. I mean, it's a 6/6 for 6, and that's kind of what I play it as. That second effect isn't as great in a Teneb deck, but
How about
it's
this?
still okay.
The Sisters of Stone Death, because sometimes they can be played as a commander too, right?
Yeah, this card's cool. It's an 8 mana, 4 colorless, 2 black, 2 green, 7/5 Gorgon, legendary creature. Green, target creature blocks Sisters of Stone Death if able. Black, green, exile target creature blocking or blocked by Sisters of Stone Death. And 2 colorless and a black, put a creature exiled with Sisters of Stone Death onto the battlefield under your control. So it's supposed to be there's 3 of them. And one of them lures you in, one of them exiles you, and the other one raises you as a thrall or whatever.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I like it. Yeah, I really like that you get to res the creatures that you're like basically eating.
Yeah, it's a cool. I like these kind of cards that have like a long chain but get you something really cool in the end for it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, where it's kind of like the abilities
They all work together.
all culminate into
Yeah,
something.
yeah, exactly. But they take a lot of mana to get to it, but that's
Yeah.
okay because you're working to that end. It's cool. It's kind of like Figure of Destiny is the same way, and I'm trying to think of another one, but I do like that kind of ability set. Also, Magus of the Disc is really good to bring back over and over.
Yeah.
So
Magus the Disc is essentially Nevinyrral's Disc on a creature
Mhm.
body, and it's actually a good creature body too. It's a 2/4. So
so
it's
he
a cool
blocks
card.
until you're ready. The original Ghost Council of Orzhova.
Not quite Obzerat, but
No, not at all, actually. Not really even close. I have my own Martial Anthem.
yeah, Obzerat is kind of in a league on his own in terms of what he does and power-wise.
I am playing Down and Dirty. I feel like this is the right place for it.
Yeah, and that's the thing about fusion split cards in general is that they're going to be much better in Commander as well. I think that's why Commander is such a cool format because it really gives you exposure on cards that aren't very good in Limited maybe, or even constructed otherwise, like a different type of constructed environment. But then when it comes to Commander, where you have this huge variety of long game, you're going for like a long game sort of strategy. It just, you see all sorts of different cards that you're playing, so it's kind of cool. You have a mono red one? What is this? Okay.
This is my Jaya Ballard Task Mage deck.
I always liked her.
Yeah, I did too.
She has a lot of cool abilities. She's 3 mana, 2/2 human spell shaper. Oh, spell shaper too. Interesting. And it's she was from Time Spiral block, right? Just Time Spiral?
Yeah, she's
Originally,
a character from Ice Age block, but she was printed for the first time in Time Spiral.
Interesting. And spell shapers are cool because that was from Mercadian Masks, right?
Yeah, that block.
So she's 1 red, tap, discard a card, destroy target blue permanent. So that's a Pyroblast on it, right? Or
it is
something like it, or half
it's like
of it.
half of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then it's 1 and a red, tap, discard a card. She deals 3 damage to creature or player, and a creature dealt damage this way can't be regenerated this turn. So it's a Incinerate at her 2 ability, and it's the same mana. And then 7 mana, discard a card, it deals 6 damage to each creature and each player. So that's Inferno. So,
and I think this was like their kind of first attempt at a Planeswalker card too. Like this was, I think, what they were thinking they were going to originally do with it. They knew they wanted this 3 ability thing going, but they didn't know how they were going to work it. So Jaya was going to kind of be their initial test, and it just didn't really pan out. So they decided to do this with her legendary creature thing.
She's cool though. She's really good. She's a cool commander. So what are some of the things in red that you're running? Like I see Pillage. So you still want to, and you're doing Vandal Blast as well.
Yeah.
So you really want to have access to anti as many different permanent types as
Yeah.
you can.
The thing about this deck is that your commander is cheap and she has 3 different abilities that are all pretty useful.
Destroy target blue, I'm sure, hoses some
Yeah.
people hard too.
And like just incinerating creatures or like threatening Inferno at any time. Those are all really good things to have around. So I'm playing a lot of cards that might be just subpar but are, you know, kind of, they're more specific, I guess. And I was trying to do some burn just to kill people with burn, like burn face. So I'm doing like this card, reroute, because I know I can pitch it to Jaya. I don't really care if I don't get the chance to use it.
But if you do get the chance to use it,
I can
it
really
could be
hose
really good.
somebody over.
Reroute is 2 mana, change the target of target activated ability with a single target. Draw a card.
So against a Planeswalker, like Ultimate or something like that, could be really good.
And there's plenty of creatures with good activated abilities.
Mhm.
Like you could do Visara, maybe
Yeah.
targeting itself instead
Mhm.
or something.
Yeah, stuff like that would be really good. Kalidas as another example of that. Kiku. There's a lot of good ones that do that, sort of destroy target whatever. Even like Kiki Jiki to screw over what they thought they were going to copy and stuff. Price of Progress. You know, I'm playing non-basics here, but this can just be a way to kill people too. It's twice. It deals twice the damage. Damage equal to twice the number of non-basic lands each player controls to that player, and it's a 2 mana instant. So this one's kind of my kill condition at the end of it all.
Very popular in red deck wins in Legacy.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very highly played card.
Mizium Mortars, you know, just good enough. Grape Shot, just because I figure I might be able to get some chains going. Let's see. Oh, Butcher's Cleaver is good on Jaya because
That's
she's
cool.
human.
Yeah.
And she can incinerate and gain life, or the Inferno life gain would be sick. That's why I'm playing both of them.
What's Flames as a blood hand?
It's a kind of a second skull crack.
4 damage player. The damage can't be prevented if that player would gain life. This turn player gains no life instead. Oh, that's kind of cool. So it is. You're really making sort of like a burn deck.
Yeah.
Hammer of the Garden was a renewable one, right? You just
Yeah.
had to pay
During
5.
your upkeep, you can get it back every turn.
It's kind of cool.
It works well with Jaya too because you can use it as a like destroy blue permanents or an incinerate at instant speed
Mm-hmm.
and then get it back for 5. Browbeat just to refill your hand if somebody is like willing to let you. Act of Treason, just because. Like I said, these more specific ones are fine to be pitched. Rack with Madness is okay. Red doesn't have a ton of ways to just outright destroy creatures.
Fissure, I see you're running.
Yeah, at like higher costs, or I mean higher toughness. So if your opponent has something like a 7/7 or greater, and it would be able to kill itself by dealing damage, this is the answer to that. Or that's why I'm running it. A couple sudden impact effects. People get a lot of cards in EDH. Wild Ricochet is a really good red card. Detritive War is great. Reckless Worm because I'm pitching cards. I can make a sudden blocker and
That's true.
incinerate something.
That's a good point. I like that.
Kumano, really good.
He could probably be a commander too, huh?
Yeah, he would be a really good commander. He's a 5 mana 4/4. Pay 2 and deal 1 damage to target creature or player. If he deals damage to a creature, or I'm sorry, if a creature dealt damage by him would die this turn, exile it instead. Kazul, another good potential commander, 5-drop, 5/4 that gives you ogres whenever you're attacked.
He looks cool too. I liked him.
Yeah, he does look cool. Fire Servant, which
Obviously
is
good with your burn spells.
really cool with
Mhm.
like Price of Progress in particular.
Yeah.
Chandra Nalar,
Word of Seizing's pretty popular in Commander.
it's super good.
Yeah, you steal any permanent, right?
Hmm.
And it's pretty much like an active treason for any permanent.
Yeah,
It's really cool. I like that.
it is really cool. I'm also playing Active Aggression, and like I said, these act effects actually, I guess, are more able to be pitched than anything else because they're not typically that great in EDH, but I'm just playing them because I wanted to try them out, really, as a red deck wins kind of thing. Yeah, right. I'm playing Hostility, which is really good with Burn.
Oh, is that double eight as well? Or?
No.
No, it gives you the 3/1.
3/1s for
Element,
each 1
yeah.
damage you would deal.
But you have to prevent the damage, and then you
Yeah.
get a 3/1 instead.
Yeah.
It's cool.
But only by your instants and sorceries, I think, or if a spell would deal damage. Horde Smelter Dragon is a really good commander card for dealing with artifacts over a lot of time, but also pumping him and being a pain in the ass. Flame Blast is really good. Charmbreaker is good with Jaya. Fiery Fall. I like this card a lot for commander. Into the Maw of Hell. I like Blood Feud for commander too. And that's
You just make two
target
creatures
fight.
yeah.
And so it can even be one opponent's creature versus another opponent's creature, or the same opponent's creatures versus each other.
Yeah, I really liked this card. I liked that card in Limited.
It was an awesome limited card.
It was
I
cool
do remember
because
that.
you could really 2-for-1 your opponent hard at 6 mana.
Yeah. I'm also playing Steel Hellkite because you need to be able to destroy enchantments, and I don't have an Evinruel's Disc yet.
Do you like Spine of Ishsa?
Yes, I like it a lot, and I play it as often as I can
In Commander?
with Phyrexia's core because
Do you have that in this deck too? Okay.
that'll allow you to rebuy it over the course of a few turns until your opponents deal with it. Null Spine Dragon's really great. I highly recommend this card in Commander. I'm kind of playing a dragon, pseudo-dragon deck too. Toward the end
What's
here.
Scourge of Courageous do?
Scourge of Courageous is an 8-drop 6/6 flyer, and it has Pyroclasm for ground troops or 6 mana for 6 damage to air.
But it's each
Other
creature, so
creature
it doesn't
flying,
even kill itself. That's a really cool card.
Yeah, this card's amazing EDH card.
I really like that a lot.
Bogarden Hellkite, it's okay. I prefer Scourge of Courageous over Bogarden Hellkite, but it's still really good. Potentially kills several things.
This deck could use Titan's Revenge too.
Yeah. I actually might even have it. I just was like, I had too many X spells already.
You should do it over the Fireball.
Oh, maybe I don't have it then. Because that would have been my choice.
What's Conflagrate do?
It lets you... It's the flashback, really. You can pay 2 red and discard X cards to deal X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or players.
I see.
But I guess the first half is really hard to cast. It's red and XX. So it's like a
3 mana, 1
bonfire.
damage. Yeah, it's expensive.
Yeah, 3 mana, 1 damage, 5 mana, 2 damage, and then 7 mana for 3. It's not good. But you can kill somebody off the final part if there was a way to draw extra cards or whatever. And I guess I don't have it, so this card could come out for a Titan's Revenge if I have one. But yeah, that is my Jaya deck.
We should look at, I wanted to look at Arabian Nights, or actually, Arabian Nights was the first set, right? The first,
Expansion?
yeah. So, I don't think we got a chance to look at it last time, and it'd be kind of cool to check it out. I'm sure there's some broken color pie stuff in that set as well, so it'd be interesting to look at. I think they just do alphabetical.
You have to select like all the colors.
Okay.
This actually might not show us artifacts though, sadly,
Why would that be?
because we selected all the colors.
Oh, weird. You might be right. Are there a ton of artifacts from this set?
There's like Ring of Maroth and
There's weird
Aladdin's
ones.
ring and Aladdin's
I'm
lamp.
sure. Oh yeah, Aladdin's ring. Aladdin's lamp's the kind of nostalgic one. But Ali from Cairo is a really weird card because he was a 4 mana 0/1 human, and then damage that would reduce your life total to less than 1 reduces it to 1 instead. And It's just you don't see that in red very often.
And it just doesn't even make sense in red on a lot of levels, you know?
Why is red protecting itself?
Well, even
Why
if you
is it
were
a 0/1 creature?
like making it the kind of avoiding fate or, you know, like impossible to catch thing, then it's like a blue ability or even black ability, you know, at that point. Because then it's like you're highly evasive and really hard to get a hold of, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't seem like that's what this is at all, flavor-wise, you know? It would have been a great white creature, because then it would make him look like he was a healer or something.
Yeah, that's true.
But as a red creature,
It's very strange.
yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Army of Allah is kind of like Trumpet Blast now, right? It's like
Mhm.
essentially the same as Trumpet Blast, except in white instead of red.
Mhm.
And actually, Army of Allah still works too, I would say.
Oh, well, they've, even in more recent times, like Time Spiral, they printed Fortify, which was choose 1 +2/+0 until end of turn, or +0/+2 until end of turn
Mm.
at 3 mana.
I see. Bird Maiden, that was always kind of a funny card.
Wah,
Camel.
wah.
This card's hilarious. So it's 1 white banding 0/1 camel creature, and as long as it's attacking, prevent all damage. Deserts would deal to camel and to creatures banded with camel. Isn't that funny?
How like limited an
Yeah,
ability can you get?
it's just like Gloom. It's like the same
Yeah.
condition as Gloom, just
Yeah.
like specifically targeting
Hmm.
one type of. Are there more than one type of desert now, or is there only desert?
It's just desert. Poor camel.
Prevent all damage. Deserts would deal. Ugh, embarrassing.
That is embarrassing.
What did you think about Quambage Witches?
I liked it, I have to say. It's cool that it doesn't kill itself if you activate the ability. So your opponent most likely hits you with the ability.
It's a 2 black 1/3 human wizard, and you tap it and it deals 1 damage to a creature or player and 1 damage to target creature or player of an opponent's choice. So it's essentially a like Prodigal Pyromancer style effect in black, which
Yeah.
is definitely rare.
I do think that this card works by today's standards even.
You think it's flavorfully correct?
I
That you would be able to do it?
think it works that way, yeah.
That's kind of cool. It was a common, uncommon. What was it? It must have been uncommon. It was a common?
Yeah.
Wow. It's a good common.
Hmm.
Ping stuff. In multiples, even if you have 2 of them, they can't kill either of them.
Hmm.
So
But then you're getting shocked. So, like,
still,
it only
was like
works
it's
really
like
well.
Sparksmith style.
Yeah, it only worked really well if you were hitting your opponent with it every time, I think. Because they would most likely be hitting you back.
I always liked Dandane's picture, because it's like this huge fish coming underneath these boats.
Hmm.
But he was a pretty hard to play creature. I mean, he's a good blocker actually.
Yeah.
In blue, 2 blue for a 4 power blocker.
Hmm.
It's pretty impressive. Oh my God, another card. I didn't.
Desert Walk.
Desert Nomads. Desert Walk. Wow. Talk about narrow.
Yeah.
Prevent all damage that would be dealt to desert nomads by deserts.
I'm wondering how like far you could even go with the desert land type though. You know, like what could you have that would make? Do you know what I'm saying? Like how could
you want to make more cards that had desert
well,
land type?
How could you even like go further with what they did with it? You know, like you can do Desert Oasis, but then it's like, should it even have the desert land type? You know.
Maybe they honestly could have just made other stuff in deserts.
Yeah.
They could have come up with some weird
Desert Force.
Yeah, maybe, who knows. But that's a narrow card. Well, it's better than a Grey Ogre, so I'll give it that. Hardly, though. Desert Twister was actually a really cool card. I really like this one. The original wording on it, destroy any card in play. It's just cool. But it's a 6 mana sorcery, destroy target permanent.
That card is crazy.
It's a good card.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about it? Could they do this anymore? Could green be able to destroy creatures?
I personally really don't like it.
Flavorfully?
I just don't like that green would do it, but I can see why. I mean, the flavor is there behind Desert Twister. Although, like,
you pay a bajillion mana.
Yeah, although, like, storms and stuff generally generated by red or blue, you know. But I can definitely see 6 mana, some crazy green thing, I guess. I don't know what it would be. What's a more foresty type situation?
What do you mean?
I suppose like Behemoth Crush or something where it was like they just walked on something and didn't give a shit, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like crushed underfoot style.
Yeah, yeah.
It would make more sense if you flavored it that way.
Oh,
And then
I
I
see.
could really then
So
I could get behind it.
as green.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just reading Drop of Honey. Talk about a crazy card.
Mhm.
What the hell? This is so not green. 1 green enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, destroy the creature with the least power. It can't be regenerated. If 2 or more creatures are tied for power, or for least power, you choose one of them. When there are no creatures on the battlefield, sacrifice Drop of Honey. This actually is really interesting because I know they've brought this back with
In white.
where it belonged,
Mhm.
and that was in Planar Chaos. Must
Yeah.
have been, right?
And actually
What was that card
it
called? Why
actually
can't I think
makes
of that
more
name?
sense in black than in white or green because it's destroying the creatures with the least power. It was porphyry nodes.
Porphyry nodes. You're right. Yeah, but this doesn't make any sense in green.
And the
I
only
guess
reason
it's
it
like
makes sense,
if
kind
they were
of,
fighting or
yeah,
something.
like
but...
is that it's killing the weak creatures and the strong is surviving.
Oh,
That's
I see.
the only,
So that was the flavor of it at
Yeah.
the time. Okay, I
like a
guess that does
survival
make
of the
sense.
fittest kind of thing, but it's not really because they aren't fighting like you said. It should have been
Two
the
creatures.
creature with the least power fights the creature with the greatest power, and then it would be a green effect. You know,
Maybe it's something we could work on.
I like that.
El Hajjaj is kind of a classic creature, mostly because he has a name and isn't legendary.
Yeah.
But he's a 3-mana 1/1 human wizard. He used to be summoned El Hajjaj.
Mhm.
But whenever he deals damage, you gain that much life. So it is actually different than lifelink. In fact, he could have lifelink and this ability, and you would gain twice as much life.
Mhm.
So that's kind of cool. Raiders was an original kind of cool black creature, I thought.
I used to love this card.
2-mana 2/3 human warrior, and then at the beginning of your end step, if it didn't attack this turn, it deals 2 damage to you unless it came under your control this turn. So I'd like that the detriment on it's not too bad if you don't attack with it, but usually you can attack with a 2/3.
Yeah. At early stages of the game for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I think that card is really good.
Urnum Jin was an original card that was very good too. It's a 4-mana 4/5, and at the beginning of your upkeep, target non-wall creature and opponent control gains Force Walk until your next upkeep. So actually, it's not even. Sometimes it's not even a disadvantage if your opponent has no creatures.
Or if you have no forests, you know. Like, the original deck was Urnamgeddon. You just played your Urnam Jin and then played Armageddon.
Well, he was really ahead of the curve on efficiency.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, he could be uncommon easily.
Mhm.
He wouldn't have to be rare, I don't think.
I don't think so either. Though they did reprint him at rare and Onslaught Block or whatever.
Flying Men, wow.
Woo!
1-mana 1/1 flyer. He's on a magic carpet. Gazban Ogre. I kind of forgot the part. At the beginning of your upkeep, the player has more life than each other player. The player with the most life gains control. Okay. That's cool. I like Giant Tortoise, too. It's a good blocker. I think the Horned Turtle, I guess, was ultimately a little bit better, but a 2-mana 1/4 blocker, I think it's pretty good. Guardian Beast. This sounds familiar. 4-mana 2/4. If it's untapped, non-creature artifacts you control can't be enchanted. They're indestructible, and other players can't gain control of them. This effect doesn't remove auras already attached to those artifacts. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this doesn't feel very black.
No.
I don't know why black would interact with your artifacts. I don't know
In
why
this
it would.
way.
I don't know why it would make them indestructible.
Yeah. Black interacting with your artifacts should cause you to sacrifice them for some better effect. It should have been like that. Like, you may sacrifice an artifact to make all other artifacts, non-creature artifacts you control, unable to be enchanted and indestructible until end of turn. Players can't gain control of your artifacts this turn. Like, that would have made more sense, where you're actually paying a cost to get that dark reward. But this one's just like...
It protects your artifacts. It's really strange. If Biff Efri, what does he do?
I think I know what the flavor was behind that.
Wait, this has the same...
Yeah, they fucked up.
This has the same art as Serendib?
They fucked up on Serendib from Revise.
What did they do?
They used If Biff Efreet art. Serendib Efreet is in this set too, so you'll see what
and
art they showed.
And they framed it wrong
the green
too.
Frame.
Yeah.
but they gave it the blue casting cost and the right text.
That's really strange.
Yeah.
But I don't even remember seeing the original. So it's a 4-mana 3/3 flyer, and then 1 green deals 1 damage to each creature with flying in each player. That's actually any player may activate this ability. I see. But that's actually a cool card because
Yeah.
it's like a hurricane
Mm-hmm.
or an Efreet.
And it costs 1 green, so it's kind of got its own protection. Your opponent might not necessarily be able to activate it.
Is it a small set?
I didn't know it was that small.
Figured it would be bigger than 3 pages. It's got to be bigger than that.
I knew it was small. I didn't realize.
Oh, so it is. It might be that small.
I don't think it's 55 cards. We are missing the artifacts. It could have been something, and the lands actually.
It could have been
So
that
it could
small,
have been
though?
75 or something.
Wow, you really think it was that small?
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. Island Fish Jasconius. Where else was he?
Classic.
He was printed some other places too. 4th edition,
And
revised. Interesting.
He was a cool card.
I think I liked his picture a lot.
Yeah.
He
He
was
was
an
just too
island
shitty.
fish.
They
7
put
mana 6/8.
They put that stupid sack him if you control no islands text on him that just makes all cards look like crap, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
How about Jihad? Yeah, the crazy thing
I think
is,
you would get away with printing this card today.
that's what I was just gonna say. What an interesting set. You know, we live in a post 9/11 world now, and now it's like all of this Middle Eastern sort of
Flavor.
would be like offensive to some
Mhm.
people, you
Mhm.
know, which is sad. All these Muslim references. It's really insane.
It is.
What's cool is they brought you a good flavor of their lore though, with like
Mhm.
the jinns and the Efreets and stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
It is cool.
from their old stories.
Yeah.
It's cool. So Hunan Efreet or Junin, I don't know.
Yeah.
I know
don't
they
know.
have the weird little like umlauts and stuff above it, and I have no idea what they're trying to say. It's not even umlauts.
That's
That's
an
the German.
accent?
That's the German one. It's
Yeah.
just accent marks. Yeah. 3 mana 3/3 flyer at the beginning of your upkeep. Sacrifice it unless you pay 2. That's a good card. It's probably just uncommon, right?
Yeah.
No, it's rare.
Oh, it was originally rare.
Originally, and then reprinted at uncommon. That's cool. Jusum Jin was one that the original like big badass creature, and he had an awesome picture because
It
it's
was.
just this big ass demon holding this little scared dude who's just gonna get screwed.
Yeah, well, that is the thing about this. They were able to not print demons and print the jinns and Efreets in their place, you know,
Mm-hmm.
as like the demon kind of things. And that's a really cool aspect of it. That it is sad that we probably won't be able to touch on that for a while, you know, or at least not to the extent that they got to this time. So if they ever revisit a world like this Arabian Nights style world, it will be really cool to see if they do the jinns in place of demons a thing again, because it worked really well.
It did. Cabal Ghoul, 3 mana, 1/1 zombie. At the beginning of each end step, put a +1/+1 counter on it for each creature that died this turn. It's kind of a cool card. It's just a little too expensive, but King Suleiman. This is a cool card, just because it's so flavorful.
Mm.
It's a 2 mana human, 1/1, and then you can tap it and destroy a Jinn or an Efreet. And he also not legendary. Don't you feel like he probably?
Yes.
His name is King
King
Suleiman.
King Suleiman.
No, I've got 4 of them.
Yeah. All 4 of them out right now.
Makes
Yeah.
no sense. He should have been better than a 1/1. Why was he such? He should have at least been like a 1/2.
He should have been
1/3.
a bear. He should have been a 2/2. Like, or 2/1. But he does have a really sweet ability for
For
this
this
set.
set, yeah.
And
Good one. How fun would it be to like do a draft of this? I guess it's too small.
it is very
That's
small.
the problem. It wasn't meant
But,
to be.
and
unless-
like, I think
yeah.
the packs were even less than 15.
Could you do a full block, or was this
There was
not-
no block.
So this was just like they were just doing expansions, and then they designed
The
it. so
first
that-
3 were just expansion sets, and then they, well, because Legends, oh, actually it was like Arabian Nights, Antiquities, Legends, The Dark. Those were all just expansions. So was Fallen Empires and Homelands was at the time considered part of Ice Age, but it wasn't really. So those were all like just expansions off the main game with no real story to them. Well, Fallen Empires did have a real story to it, and so did Homelands, and Antiquities, I guess. I guess they did have their own story.
What do you think of Merchant Ship? Blue life gain?
Yeah, I know. This one is always like funny to me. And it's a ship that dies when you have no islands.
It's a 1-mana 0/2. It's a human now, interestingly enough. Guess it does have to. It's a ship that has
Which
to.
even makes more sense when you have no water that you would die.
Like, yeah, I guess they should have just made the creature type boat or something.
Yeah.
Whenever it attacks and isn't blocked, you gain 2 life, and when you control no islands, sacrifice Merchant Ship. I actually like the 0 power, but punish them if it's not blocked aspect of it. I kind of think that's cool.
It is cool, but I think again, the when you control no island, sack it is just so stupid.
Yeah, I kind of want to. This is kind of giving me inspiration. Jake and I are still working on the set. You've come up with the name of it. It's Kingdoms of what?
Corathan.
Okay, so we could talk about what the set we're working on is. It's mostly a enemy colored allied set. So the enemy colors are allied together. Like you have the white, black, red together. You have blue, green, red together. What are the other ones?
Junk.
You have junk colors, so black, white, green.
There's red, white, and blue together.
Red, white, blue.
And then green, blue, black. So bug.
So there's 5 different sets of it. But so far I'm really happy with what we've come up with. And if you want to see like some of the cards that we've worked together on, I've been posting them in the blog on a pretty regular basis.
And we do listen to your comments.
Comments on it. Yeah, if you think something's like broken, you want to explain why, we're happy to re-examine it. And we've already gone back and revised some cards. I mean, we're trying to make it so it's a good playable.
We want it to feel like it is a real Magic set, but like, so then it also has to be playable in limited, and there have to be some shitty cards too.
Yeah, so we're trying to balance it out. It's very easy to get to a point where you make too many good cards in one set, and you don't want to power creep too much. I don't know.
My first set that I did, I think that was my biggest problem, was that everything was like playable, in limited.
It's easy to power creep too much.
And you wanna have that time when, if you're drafting something, you will play it, but it'll be kind of begrudgingly. So there are those cards that you need to put into your set so that you can improve upon them later on in the block too.
But you've been working pretty diligently at it. So how many more cards before the set's really complete?
We're pretty much done with the commons, I think. We only have a few red commons to make still, and then we have just like a few uncommons and rares to finish up, and for each color, like maybe 5 to 6 per color. That's a really small amount, I guess. So we're very close to being done.
It's how many cards set? You're gonna have like 240 or something?
249. But that's with the basics, so really it's 229 of what we had to create ourselves.
Which is a lot.
Yeah, which is a lot. And obviously we're doing a couple of reprints. I know we're doing Disperse for sure.
And Distress. So a couple reprints, but well, I've talked about the mechanics a little bit in the blog too, so you can check that out. We've come up with some mechanics, and we're not sure about the power level of them yet because we haven't played them. We've just sort of looked at them and decided how they should work. And a lot of them are, a couple of them are very similar to abilities from the past. I mean, one is similar to Landfall, but it rewards you in a different way for your lands. And one of them is called Inspire, that lets you, whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, you can untap a creature with Inspire. And this is actually an ability that's been on cards from the past, like Electrode.
It's specifically keywording that ability and giving it to those permanents then.
Which is okay. I mean,
and
keywording it. It's a cool enough ability to keyword, I think. So, especially when you've designed cards to utilize it, like Electrode.
Right. I'm like really excited to show it off in its finality.
But until then, I'll just continuously post some of them that we're working on in the blog. you can comment on them. We'd appreciate it.
We definitely do appreciate it, and
Yeah.
I really take any criticism very seriously about it, and I don't mean like I
Yeah.
cry about it. I mean,
No, if you
I
have
really contemplate what is being said about something. I think
a
the one-
legitimate
the one in
reason-
particular that somebody mentioned, and I don't know who off the top of my head, I guess, but is we had a land with Inspire on it, so
I mean,
it was going to be a
it's
problem.
still up there. We can look at it real quick.
Just to give a shout out to somebody, but
Yeah.
because it was going to be a problem for Storm in Legacy, and you know,
we didn't-
although
yeah, we
although
didn't
they're
want it
not
to
real cards, it's true, and you can't print that card at uncommon, which is what it was at, and you can't print it as a non-legendary card. And there's a lot of things that you can't do with it. Here it is.
So originally it was just an uncommon land with Inspire, tap for red, and so whenever you cast an instant or sorcery, you'd be able to untap it and use the land again. And Bernd Schwab, he's from Germany.
Schwab, so it is
Schwab. He had a legitimate call that it would be too good in just too good for the Storm decks.
What was his non-legendary thing that he was saying?
I think it should read existence. You might want to change it to non-legendary to prevent doubling up these comes into play triggers.
I don't know about that one.
How would that work? Well, it wouldn't matter with the new. I thought it wouldn't matter with the new legend rules because you'd just be able to take their legend. You just have an
You both
illusion
have a
copy of it.
legend.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be like, because originally it's like a way to prevent them from playing legends. Now it's more like a way to get your own copy of their legend.
Yeah. So he thinks his argument was that Inspire should never be on mana producing permanents in general because it's just too good for combo.
Yeah,
And that might be
I
correct.
actually definitely see it, and definitely take this one to heart because that is a very true thing. And sometimes when you're designing cards, you
It's
don't
an
see
oversight.
all of it. Yeah.
It's an oversight. Well, because you don't want to think about every card in terms of is this going to
It
be.
really is. You're looking at the cards in a vacuum.
Mm-hmm. You want to design the card so it's just a fun card, but you do have to constantly keep in mind that there's a large card pool that you're adding your new cards to. If you wanted to believe that the set that we're making was going to be played alongside older cards, then it's good to design cards so that they're balanced
In that way.
Yeah. Which can be difficult, and it's only going to get more difficult as the card pool gets more vast,
larger, yeah.
which is constantly happening. So shout out to Bernd Schwab for.
Yeah, thank you for your very good advice regarding our cards.
So we've already changed that one.
Yeah.
We're still working on it. What's some other? My J Jin was always a cool card. So efficient for red. It's a 3 red, 6/3 Jin, and then when it attacks, flip a coin. If you lose the flip, you have to remove it from combat and tap it. It's not even that bad of
No. And the other thing
It's
is
still
you can
defense.
just keep it on defense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an incredible.
3 mana 6/3 is huge.
Yeah. So it's incredible.
And this is before the time of Ball
Red
Lightning,
Defender.
actually. That's really funny.
I didn't know they had it revised too. It's interesting.
Yeah.
What's this set?
That's online Masters.
Oh, okay,
edition.
Masters Edition. Let's see. Trample in white. Yeah.
It gets it rarely.
Akron Legionnaire.
The other one I'm thinking of is what is it? It's the guard from Innistrad, the 4 mana that turns into a 5/4 trampler.
Oh, yeah. Why can't I think of his name? The 4 mana 2/2.
Yeah, when a creature you control dies, you flip him.
I don't know why I can't think of his name. But you're right. So on his flip side, he becomes a 5/5 trample.
White does get trampled, but very rarely, and
I see.
usually at uncommon or rare, not usually at common.
Oh, is that what Moorish Cavalry was? I
I
see.
think it was. Well, was it?
Yeah, it was.
common?
It was common.
Okay.
It's common.
Okay. Yeah.
Naf's Asp I always thought was kind of cool. But it's only his next draw step. Isn't there one that affects the player for the rest of the game or not?
No, it is this one, and it's what happens is whenever it deals damage to a player, the original wording was that Naf's Asp deals 1 damage to that player at the beginning of his or her next draw step, unless he or she pays 1.
Yeah.
Before then, so it dealt damage at that time. Now they've reworded it to be
So
loss
lose
of life.
So then it doesn't chain itself?
Yeah, so it used to just re-trigger itself over and over again, and be one of the best creatures ever.
Yeah.
For 1 mana, but now it is not that way.
Yep. Old Man and Sea is a really cool old card too.
Hmm.
And actually, this is still flavorful to blue. Blue does get steel creature
Mhm.
effects.
And even with these
Specifically.
stipulations too.
He's a djinn. Now that I didn't know. Do you think that's strange that they made his creature? Does he seem like a djinn to you? I thought he'd just be an old man of the sea, a human.
The really funny thing is, they called out his name in the original card. Like, bring it up in the
What is
bigger
it?
window.
What is
Merid?
summon marriage? So that was supposed to be his name.
Yeah.
Interesting. And it's a picture of just like
An
a little old man,
riding
like
a guy.
yeah, basically like just well, he took the guy. He gained
Yeah.
control of him. That's for sure.
He ganked him.
But he's a 3-mana 2/3. You can choose not to untap him, and you can gain control of a creature with power less than or equal to him for as long as he remains tapped.
And that creature's power remains
Or-
less
yeah,
than or
yeah.
equal to.
So why do you think they made him a djinn? Does he feel like a djinn to you?
I mean, he does in the sense that he has a magical ability that gains control of a creature, but his artwork does not depict a djinn at all.
It's
And
an
I
old
think
man.
human would be a much more
Yeah.
appropriate creature type.
It's very strange. How do you pronounce this again?
Oh, I don't remember.
We should go to dictionary.com and
Oogly.
I want to listen to the
Oogly.
computer voice do it because I don't know how to pronounce it. It's a we'll get this figured out. This we've talked about this card a lot and we never really know the correct pronunciation of it.
Oubliette.
Oubliette.
Oubliette. Okay. So Oubliette is a 3-mana enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, exile target creature and all or is attached to it. Note the number and kind of counters that were on that creature.
Nightmare.
And then when it leaves the battlefield, return the exiled card to the battlefield under its owner's control.
Why was it so bad
Tapped
to have
with
this
the noted
card?
with the noted number and kind of counters on it.
Why was it so bad to have this card phase? Like, use phasing?
I guess they could have. I don't know. Maybe
They did for a long time, remember? They used
Oh,
phasing instead.
I see. Well, yeah, it's really strange because it just makes it so it's the original wording was like outside of the game. They talked about it in just a really well because originally exile was known as remove target creature from the game, and that was too confusing for players. Like, what does that even mean?
Hmm. Yeah.
Does that mean I can't
Like,
use
when
it in
you're
game
removed
two?
from the game, yeah, does that mean that it ever comes back to the game, or what?
Do I have to tear it up?
Yeah, yeah.
Oops.
You can no longer play this card.
Oh, no, I exiled it.
Exiled it.
Piety. I always like this one because it looks like a dude's taking a crap.
Yeah, exactly.
They really-
Reading a book on the dumper.
Doesn't it look like
It does.
I think everybody thought that when they saw Piety.
That was a funny reprint, too.
Let's look for some other cool cards that are off color.
There's Serendipity Urgin
Serendip Djinn.
and Serendipity.
4 mana, 5/6 flyer. At the beginning of your upkeep, sack a land. If you sack an island this way, it deals 3 damage to you, and we control no lands. No lands, sack him. Was he pretty playable? I feel like he's still pretty good. Yeah,
I'd say that's a pretty strong effect. I would play that.
that's worth
right
it.
now,
So
yeah.
he's a 2 mana cheaper Malmodi Djinn. You just have to sack a land each turn.
And even if he's bolting you, unless you're unless they're attacking in.
Why do you think they stopped doing this art? So they even had Serendip Every in Arabian Nights. It was a 3 mana, 3/4 flyer. At the beginning of your upkeep, it deals 1 damage to you. So I mean, it's a good card.
What art did they? They just used if for free art.
I like, yeah, but I see. I like this art.
Yeah.
This is
They've
kind of
only
cool.
printed it twice.
That's cool art. It's
Yeah,
really
it's scary
crazy.
looking.
It is. Shahrazad. Players play a magic.
I know.
This is some interesting wording. It used to have a lot more wording than this, by the way. This is the Oracle upgraded text on it. It's 2 white. Players play a magic subgame using their libraries as their decks. Each player who doesn't win the subgame loses half his or her life rounded up.
Nightmare.
Nightmare because just talk about in the environment we have now where it's 50-minute rounds to play best of 3. The fact that you would have to play an entire subgame within your game would be obnoxious. So basically you
I
take
think
your
it's banned, isn't it?
you take your library, we can find out. You take your library, you draw 7 and you start a new game.
Mm-hmm. Legality.
Where do you
Go
check
up.
that?
Sets and legality. Banned in Legacy, banned in Vintage, banned in Commander. It
So
is even banned in Commander. That's crazy.
So
I
they-
thought they unbanned it. in
So they
Commander.
banned it and everything. Okay. Just took too long.
Yeah, there's no fun to be had with that card in any of those formats.
They just didn't know. What do you think about Sinbad?
I think the card is cool.
I was
don't-
talking about the actor.
Oh yeah,
No, I'm just-
the comedian.
I'm just kidding.
Comedian.
So Sinbad was a human, 2 mana, 1/1. Draw a card and reveal it. If it isn't a land card, discard it. Didn't they redo this in Planar Cast 2 as Fadi Seer?
Fadia Seer.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah, it's the same exact thing.
And
Except
it
in
actually
green.
makes sense as a non-legendary card.
And in green,
Yeah, it really makes sense in green too.
because you would get it would reward you for the land. But
For
maybe you
only
could-
getting land.
Yeah.
Like only getting
Very
land.
strange in blue.
Mm-hmm.
But what do you think about that effect in general in blue? If it was something other than land, like maybe if it was instant or sorcery,
Yeah, then it could be cool. I would see that
something we could
justifiable.
think about.
Yeah.
Singing Tree. I've never seen this before. 4 mana, 0/3 plant. Target attacking creature's power becomes 0 until end of turn.
Uh,
Is that very green? I don't think
it
so.
was at the time.
Really?
They had Shrink in green, but
Okay.
on Homelands. See, green used to get the boost and the negative effect.
I see.
It used to be able to
And now the
switch
negative power
switch.
effect is in blue.
It was basically they got the size change effects, I
I
think
see.
is what it was. But yeah, now the power loss is in blue and the power gain is in green. Or in red.
Do you like Singing Tree?
It's funny.
I feel like it's pretty good and limited.
It probably should have been a tree folk, since it actually is a singing tree, but you know, plant is fine too.
Whoa, Stone Throwing Devils. I've never seen this before. This feels really good. 1 black for 1/1 first strike devils.
Black Thunderwolves.
That's really good.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't put that in black anymore, would they? It's just
They
common
could.
too. I guess they could.
First strike is a black ability.
Yeah,
It's
it's
less
just-
so than red or white.
It's true.
though.
It's just that's pretty efficient for black. Just 1 mana. Usually when they get their abilities,
It probably would
they,
be 2 mana.
Yeah.
And then it would be fine.
Unstable Mutation. This card was always kind of funny. It's like the slowest removal spell in the world, or
The worst,
spell.
actually. I
it
think.
takes forever. You just
And
get the crap
they
beat
get they get giant growth the first turn if you're playing it against your
out.
opponent.
Yeah, it was definitely supposed to be used as a pump sort of effect ability. War Elephant, another white trampler. They were at this time they must have been just all about white tramplers, so
I just don't. I think that they just used trample whenever they saw fit.
okay.
Like when
Instead
they saw a
of
creature that looked like
Confining
it
it
should
to
trample.
certain
Yeah.
colors
And that
specifically.
I think that's
yeah.
a lot of it. It was just the feeling they got from the card.
I mean,
like, where
technically,
did it
trample
go?
is in every color. It's not like
Mhm.
there's a color that doesn't get
Right.
trample. It's just it's more a green sort of
Mhm.
ability now.
It's the same thing with flying. Every color has access to flying. Green gets it
the least.
the absolute least, and
Yeah.
usually only at rare, or like if
And-
they're specifically trying to change something with the color pie.
And it's on very special cards,
Mhm.
like the green Dragon Spirit,
Dragons, yeah. Green dragons in particular are like the ones that.
Birds of Paradise.
Yeah.
Very specific.
hmm
Wailuli Wolf. See, this is an ability that's kind of in white now.
hmm
2 mana, 1/1 wolf, target creature gets +1. That's not necessarily true, though. I can remember this with the Dagger Dare from like
Yeah.
Norwind. So
Mhm.
they do this occasionally.
Green gets creature pump. It
Mhm.
does. It's just that white usually gets it on only attacking and blocking creatures. That's what white gets. Green can usually get it on any creature.
I see.
Like Thriss, the Nantuko Primus, and the Nantuko. Like there were a few Nantuko that could give just a bonus. Also, the elves that give bonuses are not specific to attacking or blocking creatures, but anybody.
What do you say we start the draft?
Yeah.
You want
sounds
to?
good.
Okay.
You're in my account still, so.
Oh, I gotta change accounts real quick. I don't know why it doesn't let me just switch accounts. It makes me
Or
close
have
it.
2 different ones on.
Well, definitely, I can see why I wouldn't let you have 2 up.
Why?
I don't think it would want you to be able to put multiple players into a draft.
Ah, I see. That does make sense. I was thinking like it kind of sucks that you can't trade with yourself if you have a second account, you know?
What do I do with that little... I X out of it?
Did you?
I don't know. Little commercial. a little twitch thing. Alright. Some people are getting sick of Return of Ravnica block. I'm not. I still like it. I haven't been getting my butt kicked the last few times, but I don't know. I like it. I think it's fun. Still. I don't know why people would be sick of watching it already, you know?
Could do an Innistrad block draft.
We haven't seen all the... I don't have the packs for it right now. I don't know. I still like Return of Ravnica block. We haven't even seen all the cards for it. You know? And like I said, it's been a really long time since we've had full block access. This one's unique and cool because it's a bunch of abilities and guilds that work together. Tons of mechanics. Like more mechanics than you would see, I think, in a different full block. Maybe not, but it does feel like a lot of mechanics in there.
Do you think it's possible that they could do a triple large set block?
Yeah. I thought Rosewater was kind of talking about that, how he'd be willing to do like a full 3-part block series, but they're all standalone draft sets. I like that idea.
I'm kind of wondering if that's not what... I guess if Rosewater's talking about it in that way, like it's hypothetical, then I guess it's not. But I was kind of thinking just the naming of the Theros sets made it look like that
They
might
will all
be the
be
way that they
standalone.
could be. Yeah.
I think the reason that pro players like it is, or any player in general, is because they can get burnt. It's easy to get burned out on the first line of that set. So then, you know, it really lets you explore a little bit more.
I really do like this
Just
one.
it gives you that gratification of new set every few months. Complete new draft set. It's like a fresh new start.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, our draft started. We've got Skylasher, but I think our first pick's probably the Jellin Sphinx. It's a really strong card. So the strongest cards in the pack are Wolf Rider, Armored Wolf Rider, Rubblebelt Mako,
Chilling.
Jellin Sphinx, Skylasher, Blaze Commando. Even though Jellin Sphinx is 2 colors, I think it's worthy of a first pick. Really strong card. Would you agree? I think it's worth it. Strong uncommon.
I'd really like to go into flyers.
Okay, second pick, got past an Armed and Dangerous and a Gruul War Chant. I think we're probably just taking the Armed and Dangerous. It's not on color with the Jellin Sphinx, but Armed and Dangerous is one of my favorite cards you can snag.
Yeah, either one of those modes are fine too.
Gruul War Chant's very good too, but I'd rather have the Armed and Dangerous. This really just wins games.
If we
on its
were
own.
to go into blue or red, white, and blue, though, Armed is still really good for air.
I agree. Can make that work. All right, third pick. Best cards in the pack are
Drinker,
Battering Krasis, Crawl Warrior, Bronzebeak Moa is okay, Tide Drinker, Rakdos Drake, or Guildgate. So we could do Guildgate, and that opens us up for perhaps a Bant deck or Naya. Battering Krasis, Crawl Warrior, I'm not opposed to for like the Armed and Dangerous or just Bant. What do you like more, the Crawl Warrior or the Battering Krasis?
I guess if
Crawl
we're
Warrior
getting
'cause it's cheaper, or-
past the green signal, I'd rather have the Battering Krasis because we can go into blue, green, white. We can do Bant. But I mean, Crawl Warrior is very good.
They're both good. I'm just looking at the Guildgate too, but let's take the Krasis. I'm okay with that.
Beautiful mage.
Wow,
here.
Tide
Far and
Drinker.
Away? How is it Far and Away here?
Far and Away's in here. Fourth pick, Far and Away. It's interesting. Beautiful Mage is very good. Then that way we could go into Bant. I'm not opposed to that. Another Tide Drinker. Looks like passing the Orzhov signal. Maybe White's going to be getting cut off then. I'm not opposed to
So we
Far and
can do
Away
a-
for more of like an Esper thing, but then kind of negates these 2 picks.
And we already passed a Tide Drinker. That would have pushed us more into Esper.
Good point. All right, well let's take the Beetle Mage then, because he's a really strong card.
Yeah.
I mean, you could also just take Far and Away for the Far, which isn't horrible.
Yeah.
Um,
And even the potential to splash the black for Far and Away.
yeah, I don't know. That's tough.
It is really tough. Could just try 5
I
color.
think I'm gonna take the Beetle form.
Of course. Haunter. right after Far and Away and Tide Drinker.
Jeez. And a beautiful mage, too.
Well, we have to take the mage.
We could just, yep, I think we can just take the mage again, but then we're passing Demir Signal, so then that means maybe Bug is going to get cut, and a third Tide Drinker? Jesus.
Wow.
At this point, why didn't we just jump into something else? Well, what colors do we think are getting cut then?
Well, clearly black is not.
So it looks like green and red are getting cut.
Yeah.
So maybe we should be getting out of green now, if we're getting past all this.
Okay.
Which
Well,
one do we want then? The Haunter
I'd
to
rather,
stay in the blue?
The Haunter, yeah.
So let's work towards the blue. Let's do Bug, maybe, instead of Esper.
Okay.
Let's take the Haunter. Let's just take the best cards.
Rot Farm,
Get a few more picks.
Ubelstar. Those are probably... No, Mace Behemoth, too.
We can go Bug, or we can go Esper, if we can make either of those work.
Kind of like the Rot Farm here. Works with Krasis.
Could also take Maze BMS, but I guess I'm okay with Rot Farm. Maybe we go black, blue, green, Bug. Yeah, could go Bug.
It actually works pretty well with
Bug is good
Dangerous,
too.
too.
I don't have a problem with Bug.
This is our first pack? No, not yet.
I guess we could take the Hired Torturer here.
Oh,
It's
we
okay.
best bet. Maze Abomination.
Maze Abomination, Thrashing Moss Dog's
Oh,
very
yeah.
good. I think we want that. That's a late Moss Dog too, which
Mhm.
is very strange.
Yeah.
Um,
Maze Glider?
Maze Glider is very good. It's also Cerulean Gatekeeper, but we don't have any gates right now. Let's take the Glider. I like him quite a bit. Clear a Path. Golgari Cluestone. I guess we could take the Cluestone.
Mhm.
We need some fixing. Nothing else really in that pack. Guess we take the Hidden Strings here.
Okay.
So, really weird signaling. We did that pack. I think we're most likely going to try for Bug, which is okay.
Yeah.
You get the fixing in
I mean,
green. So
we
you
got
can,
terrible signals, too.
yeah, we didn't. Well, it was tough.
The
'cause
first pack we got past was Armed and Dangerous.
this
plus
can be a
Cruel
this can be a
Wartime,
really difficult
or
set
Cruel
to
Wartime.
draft sometimes. Sometimes you're trying to signal something and it's just not panning out.
Mhm.
I mean, it could just be they open, you happen to both open a certain rare in a certain color and you both want to push for it. So in our
Yeah.
case, we first picked Jellin Sphinx, so you kind of want to go down that path, but then we sort of strayed. But I think I'm comfortable now being Bug. And if we get some fixing, Armed and Dangerous will become a lot more powerful.
Bane Alley.
I guess we take the black card in case we need more blockers, because we're not going to play more than 2 Cluestones, I don't think.
Right.
I wouldn't even like to play 2 right now. So pack 2 and 3. Pack 2 we're going to be looking for Demir cards. Pack 3 Golgari cards. Pack 2 we're also going to be looking for Simic. So pack 2 and 3 are both very important, but a lot of guilds that we can look into. Guess it doesn't matter.
Yeah, neither one of them are going to get played.
Yeah, I don't think we're playing it. I haven't had anybody play Drown and Filth against me yet.
I
think
knew
it's too
people
difficult.
tried it, like, originally, but
I think it's too
it is
difficult.
like,
Yeah, it's too difficult.
you're
to
never
record.
going to kill anything that's got 4 toughness. So, like, get that out of your head right now.
Last
with
pick
Drown and Filth.
Gatekeepers isn't that bad if we are able to end up with a few gates.
Yeah.
But otherwise,
And I really actually like Cerulean Gatekeepers.
okay. So this pack 2, we've got
Aetherize,
Aetherize, Snapjaw,
Rogue. Rogue's pretty good.
Death Cult Rogue is good. We're in 2 of those colors. What's our removal look like right now? We don't have much, huh? I guess I'm not opposed to the Aetherize first pick.
Okay.
It's a good removal
I
spell.
like it a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can really... I think it had a bad rep for a while, but now it's in a pretty good place, I think.
Yeah. I'm really surprised that it would ever get a bad rep. But
Wow, Skirmisher.
and Crypt Gas both got passed with a Cinder Elemental.
Well, alright, well, let's think about this. What color could we... If we picked Skirmisher, could we still do Bant pretty safely? What's our black... We really only have, like, 3 picks.
And
Black.
Rot Farm Skeleton.
Let's try for... Getting past the Skirmisher is actually just insane.
Yeah.
From the people that we were passing the
White Like the Ortsov stuff too. Yeah. Let's
Because Skirmisher's just so strong.
actually that is really strange that we were passing all that Ortsov stuff.
So if we cut all this black, we still
And
look pretty
Goldari
good.
Bluestone too.
So it's Bant. We could try for Bant, and Skirmisher is worth it at that point.
Okay.
I mean, Skirmisher is just
And we can still
very,
get
very
pushed
strong.
into Esper
okay.
too.
Now we can take Skyjack here.
There's also Krasis, which
uh,
is a guaranteed 3-drop.
Drakewind Krasis is very good.
Oculus too.
It's high hidden strings actually.
I
And
like
for Oculus-
Skyjack, but I feel like we should probably push for a Simic early and then do the white later.
Try and see if we can make that work.
Yeah, because our fixing is not there yet, So I like Oculus or Krasis personally.
I mean, Drakewing's more likely to table though. There's no possible way Skyjack's table.
Right.
But Drakewing could actually table. Because remember, green spells were tabling last time.
And you have to be in Simic if you're going to pick up Krasis.
I mean, we are in Simic. You're right. We're mostly Simic. We only have a couple white picks right now.
And
but
think
we're
about how
getting a
bomby
Skyjack
our
here.
one white pick is. It's just there because it's a bomb.
Okay, I guess we can take Drakewing pretty safely then.
Frildock here or
All right,
Sapphire.
Frildock. There's also Pit Fight, Death Cult Rogue, Sapphire Drake.
We got plenty of 6-drops.
Okay.
I'd say Frildock.
Rogue, Oculus, or Pit Fight. Currently, the creatures that we have that are good with Pit Fight are Moss Dog, Gatekeeper. Sphinx is okay. These two are pretty good, especially if you have the lifelink. It's early enough where we could take Pit Fight, I think, pretty safely.
Okay.
It's a strong. We're more likely to table the Oculus if no one's in Simic. Wow, True Fire Paladin. That's pretty crazy. There's a Dimir Guildgate. We have the Haunter, so it'd be just for a splash. It also turns on the Gatekeeper, though. It might be just a worthwhile pick for that. There's also Court Street Denizen. Let's take the Gate.
Yeah.
I'd kind of like the...
is not impressing me at all, so...
Leyline
Phantom's fine.
There's also Scab Clan Charger.
Oh, yeah, that one's really good.
Phantom's good, but Scab Clan Charger's pretty good. Aerial Maneuver is a good trick as well. But let's take the Charger. I kind of like him. Disciple.
He's a fine bear. We don't have any bears yet.
Okay.
I mean, there's also Hydra Form there.
Here we've got, Undercity Informer fairly late. I think Phantom, Aerial Maneuver is the Reachy Tiger.
Phantom's really good with Pit Fight because it's combat damage that bounces them.
And it evolves Battering Krasis. I'm fine with that. It's a good finisher. It works well with Skirmisher. Totally Lost, Snapjaw.
Night Watch.
Night Watch is good.
Night Watch is excellent with Sphinx and Skirmisher. Snapjaw, however, really good.
Snapjaw's very good too with Skirmisher.
Yeah.
Gives that first strike or lifelink. It also evolves pretty much everything in the entire world. I don't know. I'm always kind of impressed with.
I like Snapjaw fine.
Yeah, we're gonna have a hard time turning on the white. It looks like right now we don't have much to.
There's also Glaring Spotlight.
I mean, we can try and tone it back on white for now. Till we see some more picks for it. But I just felt like the Skirmisher would be reason enough to go into white. We actually have quite a bit of...
We can pick up Azorius and Selesnya.
Let's show all again, because we actually have the Black Guildgate.
Well, cut the Torturer and the Blackguard for sure. Drown and Filth as well. We do have like 2 Cluestones that are on color with black too. Nav Squad or Shadow Slice?
It's a good question. Got a couple flyers already.
Kind of like Nav Squad more if we're going to hit white.
Guess white makes more sense. Skirmisher's more over the top.
The next pack actually is going to be
the Azorius.
Colors, yeah.
Okay.
And Selesnya.
Alright, well, we can commit to that then. That's okay.
Both Cluestones.
Okay. So, we're going to be Bant. Got a fair amount of...
We're only 5 short at playables.
Which isn't bad.
Oh my god.
Wow. This is the craziest pack I've ever seen for Azorius. So
this would be an amazing sealed pack.
We're going to take Asperia, because she's a 6-mana, 6/4
Patrol
flyer.
too.
But this pack also has Azorius Charm, Lee of Sky Knight, Sar Patrol. All of those cards are insane.
We're getting something back out of this pack.
But for 6 mana, getting a 6/4, that's worth it.
Flying, yeah.
She's a mythic. She's good. I mean, she sucked outside of limited, but she's insane.
Yeah, a flying crawl worm.
Happy to take. Wow.
Oh my God!
Get past Righteous Authority. So we'll slam that.
Rubbleback Rhino.
That card's
here,
very
too.
strong.
Yeah, but Righteous
Rubbleback
Authority, wow.
Rhino. Some other interesting cards.
Eyes.
You can take
Seller.
Seller. We can take Eyes in the Skies.
There's Rubbleback here too. I
Also Rubbleback.
would much rather not play Zarichi Tiger. Maybe Seller is the best card though.
Better for the curve, but Eyes in the Skies is surprise blockers, which I like too. Surprise blockers, surprisingly.
Actually, they're probably
Comes up
better
huge.
with Dell and Sphinx too, because attacking in with two 2/2s in the air.
I'm usually pretty
Yeah.
impressed with Eyes in the Skies. Alright, we can take Brush
Brush
Strider here. There's also
Drudge
Drudge
Beetle.
Beetle, Aerial Predation. It's interesting. Would we rather have the Scavenger or the 3/1 Vigilance? I
Because
guess
we
the
have so many
Scavenger.
flyers, yeah, I think
I
I'd
could see
rather
the
have the
Scavenge.
Scavenge.
I can see that.
Monitor, Common Bond, really
Common
good.
Bond, we're on color with it, so I think it's worthwhile. Our fixing sucks right now, unfortunately.
Yeah, we definitely need
I don't
to
know
see
if we haven't seen any
some
fixing
skill
though.
gains.
We'll take the Common Bond. We have 15 creatures. It's an excellent trick. Centaur Healer is very, very strong. Avenging Arrow. I think we probably just want the healer more.
Yeah.
So it looks like we can make Bant work. Alright, now we can take Centaur's Herald. It's also Inspiration.
Inspiration would help us to
Zero
draw
armor.
some land, but we don't have any early drops really, so I'd
Let's
rather
take
have
Centaur's
the Herald.
Herald.
We look like we're green, like strong green.
Swift
and then,
Justice, we'll take that. It's a good trick
Mhm.
against the aggro decks. I mean, we have a lot of good cards. We didn't end up with any fixing though, which is going to make this mana base much more difficult.
Especially with our double white, double blue mythic.
At least he's not until later. We can decide what we want to do, what color we want to be deepest. I mean, we're definitely deep green.
Yeah, and we still have one Hussar Patrol.
Half.
Wow, did you see everything else? Azorius did not make it out of that pack.
How could it? Azotime and what was
Nia
it?
Sky Knight.
Yeah.
Not to mention Fairy
Imposter
Imposter was in there
and
too.
Frostbird and Weird for
Yeah.
like a blue sort of thing. So
That's
just-
crazy
yeah.
how much blue got cut.
they were all
Blue,
just
white.
really good cards.
Yeah.
I mean, Frostburn can also be played for red.
Red. That was a crazy pack.
We have a lot of good cards, though, which is a good dilemma to be in. You know,
Hmm.
I don't know. Just using this for dangerous is probably not necessary in this deck because we have so much evasion, but
Mhm.
maybe. I'm not sure if it
Sideboard
is.
into
It
it.
could be, yeah. I'm not sure if it's going to be necessary, though. Probably don't need the Phantom, just based on how much late game we
Fall.
have already. We could take Fall. We could also take
Chorus.
Chorus, though. It's actually a
With
legitimate.
flyers, really good.
Yeah, and with the Eyes in the
Eyes in the
Skies.
Sky, yeah. Yeah, we could probably take out Armed and Dangerous then.
Is Pit Fight good in here? We have one. Yeah, I think it is. We have
It's good enough.
Beetle Form is actually pretty good with it
Centaur
too.
Healer is good with it too.
Yeah, we have plenty. I think.
Even Drudge Beetle is fine with Pit Fight. in my
Yeah,
opinion.
I actually really do wish we'd gotten the Rebel back because we have the Righteous Authority. That would have made
Yeah.
more sense.
Sundering Growth here as a sideboard card.
Okay,
Take the
I could see
Rakdos
this.
round.
I could see that being good against us.
Treasured Find, which is the most annoying of those two.
Well, our mana base is gonna be a little bit screwy, but we'll figure this out.
Lucky for us, we only have double of any color at our 6 drops, so it's not going to be hopefully that hard to get there.
More difficult than I would have liked, though. I
Yeah.
feel like we didn't even really see that much fixing, but maybe
we
we
definitely
did.
didn't see on color fixing.
I don't remember
in the
seeing
last
any
pack.
gates.
Yeah.
Or we
Or
saw
key
one. We
runes.
saw one prophetic prism, but it was in the same pack as the skirmisher.
Yeah.
So it was like
Didn't
It
see
was
Simic
obvious.
Guildgate either.
what we were taking.
Hmm.
But overall, a lot of bomby cards.
Yeah, that was a
For
tough
the-
draft fixing wise, but
We had a tough time in the beginning knowing the direction that we wanted to go or
Mhm.
what we were being led to,
yeah.
but we finally figured it out, I think. Maybe we don't even need the Disciple, but we'll see.
Wow.
Maybe we don't even need the Nav Squad. And then I feel like I'm missing something.
No, I think you're not.
Not? Okay. So this is 23, 16 creatures. Removal looks good.
Ether Eyes.
Chorus is a good trick. Rich Authority. Okay. So, good amount of creatures.
Spread across the curve pretty well.
Definitely doing 17 lands. I don't know if I feel comfortable doing 18.
I don't. I like this deck though.
I think it's good. It's a good deck. Let's look at our colors, how deep we are. Definitely got hooked up on the Azorius rares in the last pack.
Yeah.
Let's check how many mana symbols we got total here. So we've got a mix of green, mostly Selesnya, and then a little less blue, but we're pretty even on. I think we're gonna have to do an even split all the way around, unfortunately. So 17 lands. Guess we do 6, 6, 5. That's not the best. It's an awkward mana base. Very awkward mana base. But I think that's about as good as we're going to be able to do with no fixing. It's unfortunate because there's so many good cards in this deck, but just really couldn't make it come together on the fixing. Hopefully we just see the right colors. We're going to have to be a little bit lucky, though, I will admit. I mean, we got good tricks and removal, good creatures. All the cards in the deck are good, just our fixing is leaves a lot to be desired. I'm almost debating doing like Tiger over Scabplant Charger, but I think Charger is ultimately worth it since it's a combat trick. Okay, I think that's going to be it for this podcast. If you want to watch these games, they're going to be posted at YouTube or Seemsgoodmagic.com, so you can check them out. And you can email me at Mortarpod@Seemsgoodmagic.com. I listen to your feedback. I really appreciate any on the podcast. If you watch the podcast and you enjoy it, let me know. I really want to hear from you guys. Build a community together. I really want to build a community and hear feedback, what you want to hear in podcasts, and what I'm willing to make you guys happy, what you want to talk about. So follow us on Twitter at Seemsgoodmagic, and you can see updates of when we live stream, which is Tuesdays and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Central Time. So for Jake, I think that's going to be it for this podcast. So see you guys later.
See you later.